Yeah, boys are fucking down. Well, I figured
80s montage right there, bro.
to find a good argument to start with. That'll probably be the best way to go about it. Keep this thing interesting.
I mean, it's like one of those, we were like what we were talking about earlier, and it kind of just continues to play on from like kind of like the previous cast, where just trying to figure out what, if at all possible, is this whole thing really all about? You're examining the things around you, you're examining what you see around you, and and you're trying to make a fucking judgment call of like what the fuck and where this shit's going. You know what I mean? Like, and we're looking to all the things around us, clues, ideas, hobby. I mean, just like anything to just kind of like make sense of this life and enjoy the life. I mean, like, I don't know. I've been thinking about like really like trying to like, I don't know, become like ultimate survivalist, bro. You know? I mean, like,
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know. I mean, like, what I don't know. Like, you could go out and be like, well, "I'm being a historian." Well, that seems pretty fucked. It's just, I don't want to do that. And I mean, you also want to be like smart and well read. But like, if it's bullshit that they're publishing, I mean, like, what's really well read? You're just well versed on bullshit. You know? I mean,
bro, I totally agree with you, man.
I'm sure you've been going through the same thing. It's tough. It's like you're torn on how to like best approach, I guess, moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, and what's really like, well, I mean, at least for me, like, what's really worth like pursuing ultimately.
And you just keep going down that deep rabbit hole, and there's some people that'll sit there and tell you, I believe I got this out there. I believe I also liked our video as the page, so God forgive me. Okay, God forbid me, guys. You go down this deep rabbit hole of eventually you get to a religion that tells you, well, if you keep following that, you'll never be happy. You're never going to get all of these answers that you seek. But when when was that book written? You know what I mean? Because did they have pesticides? Were they using fucking pesticides on us? That's what I want to know, man. Because I super fucking doubt it.
Yeah. Okay, I think we sound good on both platforms. We sound good on both platforms.
All right.
We sound good on both platforms.
So, I mean, at this point, that's what I'm saying, bro. I don't want to play their game, man. I don't want to play their game. I don't see no one I know as any less than any of them. They created the reality that they want to live in, and I want to create a different reality. I think that anybody should be able to live in their reality, and no one has to choose, somebody else's. But well, first, let's go through some things. We got some time here. It's a Friday. We got some wine here, people. We're drinking some Merlot now. We've grown as men. First, I would say, it's once again, that I apologize. I do apologize sincerely. Because it's like, once I see that you're that frustrated with me, it's like, shit, man. It's like, well, if I got him frustrated, I know that obviously I'm not doing something right. The problem is, like I was trying to explain, is that I'm so comfortable with you. And we're so much usually on the same path. So when you kept saying this thing, and I feel like we're just going in these circles, and like, I was trying to connect. In my mind, I'm connecting real dots, and like, you're not defending it properly. That's honest. I'm telling you honestly how I'm seeing it. So now I'm like, well, damn. I'm like, this is the person that usually see these things. He's not seeing these things, and I'm just getting deeper frustrated with it, and I'm going past the basics of. That's not how you explain information. Be kind, I'm berating. I'm berating at that point, But to me, it's like, in my mind with you, it's like, you get it. You get it. But we're human. We're both human. And there is a certain, like, aspect of it. But there came a point in that thing where I'm like, okay, well, I'm asking you for this answer. You can't give me that answer. But you're telling me that it's there. So I'm just like, damn, well, I don't know where to go from here, because to me, once you get to that point, it's usually like, well, shit, okay, well, you get that one. Now we move on to this one. What? We couldn't get to that point, so it just kept us in fucking purgatory. And regardless, I am sorry for the way that I come off about it, but there is these things, that I'm passionate about. It gets me upset, that people don't realize it or just don't know about it,
Right, right,
So
right,
I'm
right.
like, holy fuck, bro. Like, you know, like we were talking about before, right? Like, oh, what do you want? Golf and Tonka? It's like I'm arguing holograms now. You know what I mean? Like, I thought we were already past. I already thought that we had agreed, that there was some shit like that. But obviously, we needed to have that
Well,
talk to be able to see where we both stood on something like that.
it's tough to agree after you get to that's fake. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, the territory you're in is just like 100%. Like it's like I don't know. Like it's like look when you sent me that paper today, and we read it. We've read that number 3, and it's like you're just your brain's just moving linearly. It's moving logically on trying to explain things. Which is I feel like it was just all I'm trying to do is trying to logically and literally explain things.
Right.
But again, like just it's like it's funny just reading something as small as that can change how you think about things with just a snap like that. You're like, oh, it kind of flips like a new neuron. You know what I'm saying? And I've always approached things as linearly and logically as possible, which is always how I think that's how most people's brains work. That's how you approach it. Of course, there's right brain, poor people who lack left brain, and you need a little bit more of that. But I feel like I'm a hardline left brain person, and being able to take that right brain intuitive, kind of like abstract, out of the box thinking style, and applying it to a lot of these things I'm having trouble with because I keep thinking of them in linear ways.
Right.
You know?
Okay. I think that's a fair argument, but here was my point on that, right? I mean, you said you looked up some things, bro. Was anything that I was saying that day a lie? So like, why is it that the way you were looking at it is logically? Like, no, bro. In my mind, the way I'm looking at it is logically. I'm connecting real dots and writing it all the way up to the same exact people that I'm talking about. And like in my mind, like you're in the same logical mindset, but you're running to a point where you're going like, oh well, there's gotta be somebody else. It's like, to me, if you can't give me who that somebody else is, well, then we're at the end point. And we agreed that these people were corrupt. So I just didn't see who you were talking about was that extra power that's like overseeing it for American interest. That's why I just couldn't see.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and that's one of the things that, like, I think that like kept kind of like misunderstood as like American like interest, like shit like that. Like it's just the idea that ultimately I thought the level of the hierarchy and how it worked would have been, it's like, at the very tippy top are the countries, the countries that be, like kind of like the world's military type of like powers type of deal. And the thing about that though is that with especially with like those types of meetings, like the one thing I always think about is like what goes on in like those types of meetings. Like let's say like you're at G20, whatever the global climate bullshit summit is. What are they actually talking about? Bretton Woods. What are they actually talking about? And those types of things. And I thought of like the world kind of like as the way it's presented. You know what I'm saying? Where there's world powers, and this is how they maneuver in the world. There's a clear separation of who is American and who's Russian, and there's these and that's like the ultimate like apex top right there. You know what I'm saying? The ones like like the ones like on the news all the time, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Those are the ones who would like supersede kind of like everything else. Like what's bigger and more powerful than a country?
Right.
What really is bigger and powerful than a country?
But
and you made a strong argument for the corporations and the companies that play a huge role in everything that goes. But still, I thought that the 100, like that 100%, like how a country maneuvers and kind of like a political landscape where you're navigating all the other world powers and all the other countries who can control territory out here. So like when I think of like, okay, America, plotting to kill people in, Afghanistan, or America plotting assassination attempts or coups or things of that nature, were just that, that's a country doing it, what a country can do
Right.
with its power.
But in all fairness, like that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes I feel like we got to that point where you're so frustrated that like now what I'm even saying is getting lost. But that's why I bring up certain things. Like I tried to bring that up to you, bro, where I'm like, okay, well, if we get to the point where we're both agreeing that America is corrupt and we know that America controls 50 other countries, that's a quarter of the world at least. That's why I'm saying this type of shit. Like, okay, so just connect one dot to another. If they're lesser power than us, we know that they're going to do what we say. Then even go to the top powers that you're talking about. Most of them still agree with us, bro. I mean, who's really going to, as far as we see the world, who's really going to do something we don't say? It's China, North Korea, Russia. Those are the three, maybe. Not a fucking single other soul is going to do something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once we agree that we're corrupt here, I mean, we just follow the lines, bro.
Well, I mean, everywhere's corrupt, and I mean, and that's the thing. Like, especially when I was talking, like,
right.
I feel like
Well,
that's the thing. Listen, well, listen. See, I mean, I'm the one thing that like I felt like was that like a lot of things that like you were saying were things that I didn't even necessarily say. So we got down to the lobbying, and I'm like, well, I mean, I never denied lobbying. I mean, I know you're making your point, and like things like that, and then I feel like we jumped down another 20, 30 different loopholes under this one kind of like subject,
But that came from you saying that you thought the system could be saved, so that's why I started bringing up things that where the system has literally writ this is how it works, and it doesn't work. So that's why I brought up cities operating in the red. That's why I brought up lobbyists. This is all legal things. These are all legal things.
Yeah.
How can we save a system that is writ to operate in the red and allow people to corrupt the government, bro? That lobbyist.
That's what I'm saying.
You,
That's what I was posing hypothetically, is that like you can patch those holes. You really wanted to, and like you talk about like you again when this is what I was saying that last time I said hypothetical, when you're moving to that area from this point forward, when we're talking about that, it's like can't be said. It's like, all right, well, if you patch all the holes that they've written into the system, I mean,
well, then you have to patch a lot of holes, brother.
You got to patch a lot of holes.
Patch all the healthcare holes. You have to patch all the prison holes.
And then
pop all the military.
And that's the thing. And then without going back down to that, now it's like, okay, well then we have two forks. We have a fork here in the road. Where it's like you scrap or you patch, rework. So I mean, like that's where it's like, okay, well we can definitely patch things, and I think given enough time, could we possibly move into an uncorrupt society, kind of like utopian? Because I mean, like we talk about utopian and dystopian. I mean, like when we say that, when we think of them as like utter impossibilities almost. Can you ever reach a utopian society? I would think most people would say probably not. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
But my main argument about that would be because of the numbers, Steve. Like, bro, like that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes I feel like this what I'm saying is getting lost, bro. This is all tying together. It's all one.
I was gonna say, but this. Hold on,
So, like,
we're revisiting this though. That's what I'm saying. We're talking it back over. So like you're already. I think you're already starting again. It's just like, look, we're revisiting this now, bro.
I know. Like a lot of the things, but like we've talked about these things, and like that's why I brought up certain topics. That's why I brought up certain things, is to try to give you examples. And like you're saying that they were wormholes, but to me, it's like you were bringing something up like that, and then I try to provide an example of like why it still wouldn't work. So say you fix the system, down the numbers are still too much, bro. So think about something like this, right? So like in my mind, I always tell you this. I've said it many times. They should reward people as much as they reward people that are doing nothing, right? They should reward people that are doing good, right? So I always think about like, just for example, for myself, it's like, okay, I paid $6,000 last year out of pocket for insurance. I work all the time, no criminal record, been a good boy, no fucking car record, nothing, bro. Bought a house, everything. You would think that they could review someone like me or yourself or many of people that we know, right, that work hard and deserve it, could review us and give you right, something the next year and be like, hey, if you go for a house, we're going to give you extra 5% if you go for it within the next 3 years. Or, here's $2,000 back on that out of payment that you're going to get back on your taxes because you paid that, right? You would think these things could happen, right? Because even if you fix that society, so what are you saying? If those things can happen, right? You fix the society, somebody behind a computer has to go all the way down to America, Maryland, Baltimore, North Point, Michael Knoll. You see what I mean? It has to go all the way down these lines and what? Look at 400 million cases to see if someone deserves something? It's impossible. You cannot look at 400 million people and decide who deserves to go to jail or who deserves to get rich. You will never know, bro. You're judging them off of things that you've created, which is criminal records and credit reports. That's how you like to judge people. And the fact is, if you really got to know more people,
whoa, that's such a huge. That's one thing I want to read there. That's such a huge leap. It's like, it's just like when you said that, where it's like you were like, okay, well, you came with this thing where you decided that you were going to reward people for that, and then you thought about how you would then carry that out. But like,
right? No,
I was like, hold on. It's like, whoa, wow, like,
right?
Is
so
like,
what I did was in the beginning, right? I said you would think that people like us would get rewarded, right? Because we do good, right? So you thought that, right? And a lot of people that we know would say the same thing, like, yeah, when you do good, you should get more rewards, right? But the truth is that we both know if you quit your job right now, they'll pay for your food every month and food stamps. You'll get more food stamps than you could even get if you had a kid right now. If you were a homeless drug addict, you'll get free drugs, you'll get a free welfare, and you'll get Section 8 housing. You'll live a lot simpler life if you decide to not be productive. Why did they make it like this? Why did they make it easier to not be productive, bro? And then they strained the people that actually try to do good. So that's where I'm going with this. It's not my thoughts. I seen a great video. It was with this man that was it was a black Vietnam veteran. He was talking about why they knew the N-word, right? And he's just talking, and he says, we're over here fighting for many things, right? I don't know, the algorithm's fucking with me, right? But he's like, we're fighting for Rockefeller, we're fighting for Kennedy. And he's like, these aren't things that we're saying, these are things that we found. These aren't things that we heard, these are things that we know. You see what I mean? So this shit is not conspiracy. This ain't me going off on no crazy shit. I'm just simply tying these things all together that we all know, right? We don't have to do Democrat, Republican, bro. I can say, do you think good people deserve to be rewarded? Who the fuck would disagree with that? People that don't want to do good. That's the only people who would say that don't deserve. People that do want to suck the system for what it is and be on that bottom tier, right? So now I get to this point. So my mind works, right? So I'm trying to run you through it. So now we're at this point where me and you and most people would agree that we deserve that. Now think about how can we do that, right? Why doesn't the government do that for us? Well, number one would be too many fucking people. Before I can go to anything conspiratorial, let's just go too many fucking people to look at people on the individual basis. To say Maryland can't even go on the individual basis and look at everybody and say, let's look at them for 24 hours over 365 and see what this person really, who this person really is. Not the one time they fucked up that year with some weed in their pocket or, you know what I mean, doing a line of coke at a club or something. Not the fight they got in. Look at them for over that period of time. Instead, you can never do that. You can never do that because there's too many people. So that's how I get to this point.
So, but I mean, like, and this is the thing.
Where am I jumping? Where am I jumping?
Hold up. Well, because I mean, like, when you start going, like, it's like, now we're judging people off of this and that. But I mean, like, that was one theory that was just ultimately proposed. I mean, like, I think we could go down a different rabbit holes. I mean, like you said before, like, even without the system, people would do the things that we're doing today. You would have the spaceships, you would have that technology. But I mean, like, really, would we? Because I mean, when it comes to, no one wants to be the lowly programmer, what I'm saying, on that totem pole of like rocket ships. No one wants to be that guy, like on that low part of the totem pole, no matter how big of a team he's part of. There's always someone in that low bottom tier, hierarchy that's just not gonna be satisfied to be there unless given a nice, decent pay.
Pause you right there. But first of all, I'll say these things. I say them because I'm not afraid to debate them, because I believe them and I think I can back them up with facts. So when you're talking about something like that and you're talking about that person that you think you don't know them. You don't know a real human. You know a democratic capitalist society human. That's what you know, and that's what you'll always get. So no one wants to accept that, because this world has you set up that everybody's the rock star. Everybody owns the mansion. That's how the world's set up. That's how the system is set up. Somebody's going to get the mansion. And somebody's going to live in the poor. Every 10 people that have to live in the projects for one mansion. Why does Maryland have the highest median salary in all of America? Right? Why is that? Look it up. That's fact. I'm not jumping conclusions. America has the highest median salary in all of America. Why is that possible? Why is Annapolis able to average in the 80s of thousands per year on salary median? Why? Because you have a Baltimore. For everybody that you want to make rich, you have to make 10 poor. That's what they're going to keep doing. Somewhere, somebody's striving, bro. That's why they will never kill you to zero. That's what I try to say to you. They need you to make shit. They still want you to fight wars. They still want you to make them ships, to make them guns to shoot, to give them food. They don't want to work hard, bro. They still want you to slave for them. So if you want an Annapolis that people can look at and say, that's where our Navy station at, then you need a Baltimore where you can say that's where the wire's from. You're going to drag it down in certain areas like this where you're getting a median average of fucking 30 grand. So you can have places like that with median averages of 90 grand, bro. This is the society they created. So now everybody goes, well, bro, if I decide to be the person that works on the spaceship, I make $12 a year, an hour. No, that's why I don't want to be the person that works on it, because the ones that get paid are the ones who make it, right? So if you make it possible for everybody down the line of citizens to be able to create, like back in the day when you could actually make a living off of trade schools and shit, when you learned it in high school, when this was possible, that's when you allow people to say, you know what? This person is capable of writing those blueprints for that. And this is a role that I play. And the main part that makes people go, man, I deserve more, is the fact that you're making $60 an hour and you don't lift nothing. And I make $13 an hour and I lift everything in here. That's what's got people mad, bro. They don't feel like they're a part of something. They feel like they're in an assembly line. They feel like they're always the low guy on the totem pole and the big guys overlook them. And that's what it is. Nobody's coming up with theories or conspiracies, bro. We're simply seeing the world for what it is. If nobody else wants to do that, then we can't help you, man. We can't help you. But no one's coming up with anything crazy. All these things that you're like, where you're going off on this crazy theory. Okay, well, why am I comfortable to say my crazy theory? And nobody can explain to me why they live the crazy theory that they're in every day. But I can explain to you why I think my crazy theory is right. And I don't know if I am. But I know what we're in is wrong, bro. And most people agree on it. So tomorrow when you wake up, you have two options. It's to start going the opposite way because you can clearly see what your eyes present you with, or you can turn the blind eye and die a comfortable death. You see what I mean? Everything that I'm talking about is the harder way of doing things, bro. They make it so easy for you to be nothing. Don't know how to feed yourself. Don't educate yourself. Don't go get your own water. If you do bad, I'll give you welfare. I'll supply you with the food. I'll supply you with the water. I'll tell you what houses to live in. I'll construct your houses. I'll construct your universities. I own your banks. I'll decide your taxes. Come on, bro. Come on, look around, people. What decisions are we making, bro? Let's look up everybody's favorite congressman. Look up why they were your favorite congressman, what you liked about them. And let's see how many of those things they said they were going to do, they did. Let's really look it up. Let's really start looking at the numbers because nobody's making this shit up, people. It's not theory no more. It's not conspiracy no more. We see it right in front of our eyes. Now, what the conspiracy has become is why are people deciding to be blind? That's the conspiracy. That's when you start getting deep with your mind. It's like, hold up. I'm not even a smart man. I'm not even doing to the max of research that I can. And you can clearly see all these flaws in the system. But we're supposed to overlook them. Motherfucker, that's the conspiracy of why the fuck are people overlooking it. That's what I want to know. Everything else is proven fact that I'm saying. That's what I want to know, brother.
No, I got you, man. But I don't know. It's just tough because I try to explain the things that I see before me. We talk about what's real and what's not real, but the reality of the situation, I mean, if you think about time, the time, again, what we think, why we're here, why we think we're here. I mean, for a Rockefeller to come in, well, then we have to assume that the last 100 years is correct, or the last 200 years is correct. That Rockefeller, was this oil magnate. I mean, like,
right now, see, that's where you got me though. That's why I'm so glad.
that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it so tough.
So
you know what I mean?
So listen, Steve, right there, I'll stop. Right there's where I stop, Steven, because I do not know, bro. You see what I mean? All I did was follow what I read and followed the lines I can connect. What you're talking about right there, I simply do not know. Like, I cannot give you an answer. I haven't read nothing about the 1800s before Rockefeller or what was going on there. I only know about his daddy, which I imagine was late 1800s, right? So there I am. I don't know about no prehistoric from nothing from that. And I'm at the point where I don't know if I should believe it. So right there, so right there, so now I got you right there. I can't take you any farther, right? Because now I would be what you're saying I am, which is the conspiracy side. Now I'm doing a conspiracy because I can't connect no more dots, and I'm saying, well, here's Mike's theory of probably why that happened. I'm not going to do that.
So then,
but
that's what I'm trying to get to with you. Okay, so now we get to this point where we can go as far back as we believe is valid. And that's where, if we think about these last 100 years or 120 years, don't you think there will be a point, no matter how frustrating it is right now, that people will get to that point, and these ideas that people continue to talk about. I mean, like, no one overturns something like this like tomorrow, it seems. The ideas, because there's still people in the system. There's still people who are like, I'm gonna go to grad school, I'm gonna be a realty agent, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be a stock investor, and I'm gonna be better than everybody. I mean, there's still people buying into the very system we don't believe. Now, there's also a lot more people disagreeing with what we see. No matter where we get from that point onward of, like, we think most people think something's fucking fishy. Don't you think we'll get to a shift in where we change our thought? Or do you think that they're all, I mean, like, from what I understand, like, with what you're saying, they're always that one step ahead and able to kind of like jump out ahead of us and kind of like hurt us again?
That's how I feel. I do feel like that. So I guess I would, first I answer the back end of that is I do feel like that. That's why I say, just go get that land, bro. And you start feeling it, bro. You start trying to feel your divinity, dude. And you start trying to decide about, like, what are moral code? What is moral code law? And that's a lot farther down the line. We could talk about it if you want, right? But I'm not going to sit here and try to toot my own fucking horn, right? But when you say, like, there's all these people, bro, who, bro? Tell me, Steve. Please tell me, bro. Because I want to, like, when you're saying there's all these people that are realizing this shit with the system, who? That's my thing. Because no one we know really talks about this shit. That's why I love meeting up with you, because you're really one of the person I could talk about and go that way. Besides you, Jen, my sister, and Chat's my sister, That's really the only people I can go down that line with and be like, okay, well, bro, like, even with you, like, think about how you felt when I was saying all that shit, right? You're like, oh, come on, bro. Like, you're doing all this, like, that even, my best friend felt that way. So it's like most people I feel like are like, bro, you're doing too much. Like, you're going too far. It's like,
no. See, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm being misunderstood, man. Because, like, I don't feel like that about your theory. Ultimately, like, a lot of the, like, for me, it's the way, a lot of times, the way you come off and say things. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a specific tone you get, and I don't know. It's almost like you're talking down. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's just how I feel.
Right.
I think. I mean, like, I'm not calling your, like, any of your theories crazy, but it's just the when you start, like, portraying them and getting passionate, it's almost like you're talking to a dummy almost, and that's all I got. That's all I can really offer is, like, that's just how I feel.
Damn, you felt like that,
Well, I mean, like, that's what made it tough, because, like, it's like, it's just like you get going, and it's like, it's almost like, it's like, well, you let the terrier off the leash, it's like, it's like, and then you add kind of, I mean, that would be fine when you go on a rant, but then, like, it's almost like a tone to get to it, because you had a tone, then you also got to, like, a next level of where you're like, okay, yeah.
But I'd be lying if I said anything else. That, well, the truth about that is that I'm disappointed. And listen, I'm not saying that I'm anybody, right? I don't have the right to be disappointed in anybody. But like I said, we're so used to being on the same page that, like, when you were saying that, I'm like, damn, like, We're not even at that point. So when I'm like, trying to connect these dots, and then you're just like, well, there's somebody else. That's when like I lead to that face, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, to me, like, and I'm just reacting in convo. I'm not trying to demean you, but I can see what you mean. It's like, well, come on, we're talking. That's what I said to you, right?
Yeah.
I
So
said the same thing to you when you were like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's it.
Right? I was getting frustrated.
Right.
I'm getting frustrated at that point. I was like, fuck.
You're frustrated.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So I'm frustrated. I'm like, damn, this guy. I'm like, here we are. Like, to me, I'm backing all of these things up with facts, and like we're getting to a point where you're just like, well, there's another tier. Like I try, like that's the best way I can explain.
I mean, I
like,
tried to explain it the best I could. I mean, like, maybe I was probably explaining it poorly, but I was just trying to take the best shot I could at it. You know what I'm saying?
And to me, I'm like, well, I'm just trying to get an answer from you. There's no answer, so we just keep going in this circle. And now I'm at the point where it's just like, yeah, I am doing faces and chicks. I'm just like, what the hell, Steve? Like, in my mind, I'm just like, man, it's like, listen. Why would listen, I was frustrated, right? I was frustrated that you couldn't see how I was seeing it, right? And you're frustrated that I'm not seeing it completely. We're both frustrated that we're not completely seeing it how each other see it, right? Okay, well, why do I care that you see this, right? Do I benefit at all if I sit here and get Stephen Baker to agree with me on something? Like, does anything change? My money doesn't go up. Nothing improves for me, right?
No.
To me, you're my friend, right? I've
done all
this research, and I'm like, damn, like, I want you to know this. You see what I mean? So now I'm like, I'm trying to say, like, it comes from good intention, of being like, damn,
yeah.
I want everybody I know to be like, dude, like, connect these dots, So, like, I'm hurt.
And I get, but like, at the end of the day, we're talking, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're discussing ideas. This is like, this is what we're here to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we link like this?
I started
if other than to like, kind of like discuss, like get these things going. You know what I'm saying?
I started this with an apology. I got too comfortable with with the way that I could talk to you. And I think that probably happens.
I'm not sure. I don't think I just don't think you realize, bro. You're talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as you're concerned, you're being like who you are. It's like,
my thing is like,
it's not you want to be rude, or you want to talk to someone in a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like, the way I was talking to you that night, I feel like I wouldn't be talking to people like that. Even if I was debating with someone, I'm not going to be trying to convince them on a personal level, right? When you're debating with someone, you're trying to convince them with facts. You're trying to win an argument. You see what I mean? When we're debating, you're saying this, I'm saying this. Now I'm trying to hit you with real facts that you can't deny so that I can win a debate, right? What we're having is a discussion, right? So I don't want you to know the facts of it. I want Steven on a personal level to understand like where his friend is coming from on some idea, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, this idea isn't like Mike's theory. This isn't my theory, bro. A lot of people have connected these dots. The only reason I've been able to connect those dots is because people have presented dots. You see what I mean? Like, that's the only reason, bro. People see this shit. It's not Mike's theory, bro. Plenty of people see this shit. So when, like, I thought, me and you do all this research. We read so much that, like, we both had already had this understanding on a personal level, not on a who's right about history or who's right about America, but on just a personal level of my friend Steven, I want you to know they're up to some sick shit. And I think you're underestimating it. That was where my heart's coming from on that. You see what I mean? Don't underestimate them. That's what I kept trying to say is don't underestimate them.
And the thing with being able to validate as far back as we can go is like, I'm trying to connect, what's possibly real that happened in the world and what's not. When we think about things like World War I and World War II, where it's like, how did those things really play out and what reason they play out for?
You want me to go into theories,
so I'm trying to think of like what we can validate and go off of like the information of like how far back we can validate and then generate a hypothesis and theory from there.
So think about this, right? Beautiful, right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about those world wars, right? Now, I guess I have to clear it up by saying this is just me trying to connect dots, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Right? That's what I should always say first, is I don't know. So we broke apart from gold standard, 1971, right? After World War II. Right. So let's go back. I mean, like I said, these are facts, bro. These are simple facts. I'm going to try to connect them the best I can. I'm not Jake Tan, right?
Yeah.
Everybody shout out Jake Tan. Everybody should check him out. Check him out on YouTube. So now think about Rockefeller, right? So this is Rockefeller's alive. Rockefeller's in his prime. He's a billionaire. So this is what I was saying, where the world is tied onto a level, bro. Because I believe that Rockefeller probably pulled these strings, and was able to create this in this way. Now, when you look at it,
Okay.
and we go, okay, so we're at Rockefeller's a billionaire, and we need a way, right, to be able to get these people to. Okay, I tried to explain it in that video, right? Was that you need to find a way to get people to keep working towards an infinite ending, right? That's what I'm saying, bro. I connected up. That's the thing I think I should have said, right? We should have started with. I've learned a lot since the last time we did a podcast. And even the last time we did a podcast, that was the first time in a long time before that. So the last 6 months, bro, I've came a long way on a lot of shit that I've learned, a lot of shit that I've connected, a lot of the ways that I feel, right? So I explained to you before. Now, listen, these aren't just crazy things that I'm bringing up randomly. These are all tied together, Steve. I explained to you before about how I believe like everybody has a divine work ethic, right? Like naturally, you want to work towards whatever your God is, right? You want to work towards it. So they're going to try to control that, right? So now back in the day when this country was first created, it got created out of chaos. Now, however that happened, I'm not going to go there because I don't know enough about it. I don't know if that was part of some, if we're talking Black Rock there. I really don't know. I don't know if that was just people or what. Maybe it was just an uprising, right? But it took them a certain amount of time for them to get a control of this country. And once it was in grasp, they needed a way to get people to work towards an infinite ending, bro, right? So they need a way to get your to get you to have a divine work ethic towards something, right? So they impose these religions on you that tell you to be a good person, right? Which is like nobody's going to argue that, dude. And they impose this capitalist society where you're always, supposed to pursue to be something greater than you were the past year, mainly financially. They created, they funneled your divinity, in my opinion, they funneled your divinity into these 40 hours of work, improve up this ladder of work. And you do all these things outside of those 40 hours to get better at those 40 hours. You go to college for 4 years to be able to get better at your 40 hours a week. You see what I mean? So they've been able to like control this divinity. They were trying to find a way, Rockefeller, whoever it is, trying to find a way to make it infinite, bro, to where they don't have to like I said, with that gold, the atom you can't fake the atom, bro. The atom is what the atom is. That dollar, you don't know where it came from, bro. You can get printed from anywhere. So the world was doing solid, bro, at the time before World War I. Like the world was not that bad. Germany's of course coming and shit like that, but like the world's economy was solid, They had to find a way to start crumbling that. They did a world war, bro. We spent, I think it's 16 trillion on that or some shit like that. What it comes out to be, and they sucked a ton of money from that, and then they fucking followed it up with another war, bro. What is it, like 20 years later? They followed it up with another world war, bro, where everybody's at war. You know what I mean? They crippled this economy. In the middle of that, right? We're at war. And they give you this ultimate just cause, right? Which is Hitler is killing Jews. The ultimate just cause. We got to go do something. That makes sense. We're sucked into this point where the entire world's at war, right? At that point, Nixon comes out, and what did he say? It was 60 seconds. 60 seconds. He says no one can declare that they want to trade their gold in, trade their dollars in for gold, right? Because Nixon made the deal. Like this is all facts, people. Nixon made the deal with Saudi Arabia, right? When Gandhi was in Libya, he tried to come up with a different way to trade oil, right? He tried to trade it in gold, right? Or his coin, which was gold. Once they realized that they had to find out how to control that market. Nixon made a deal with Saudi Arabia. It was the first arms deal with Saudi Arabia, right? And in that transfer, Nixon gave them billions of dollars in weapons, and they agreed to trade oil in dollars, right? So we already transferred that. They said that, what was it? Britain sent a warship to New York to pick
France
up
too, yeah, France
right?
too. It was
Sent a
both of them.
warship to New York to pick up their gold and can't get it, right? Because he said that he can't back it out. So once they decided, originally, before all this, they decided to trade that in dollars. All these people traded their gold in to get dollars because that's what everybody was using. And then in the middle of a world war, Nixon says, you know what? You can't get your gold. And it's never changed since then, bro. It's never changed since then. They're just printing this infinite outcome. So what are most of us chasing every day? Well, we're chasing to move up, right? We think that, okay, a lot of this freedom is going to come from financial freedom. That's what a lot of you believe. Like, you're going to make this money, and then you're not going to have to go make the money no more. But they keep extending this, bro. So I'm saying they keep the gap so far to where, what is it, 1 in a fucking 100 million reaches that point of billionaire status that can join that group, you know? Like, how many? So then you start getting the simple numbers like, okay, well, how many billionaires up there are really not, corrupt? Is there a billionaire on earth that's like, you know what I mean? That's where I start getting to like, should there be billionaires? Because it's just weird.
Well,
So
I mean,
you start connecting all these things they can't. We transferred it to American dollars. They pump it to this infinite thing where we're all based upon getting higher salary. That's going to eventually reach you to this freedom. And don't worry, because in the afterlife, you're going to be in heaven. So even if you die doing it, you're still going to go to heaven and things are going to be okay. I really feel like, man, they convince people, that heaven came when you died, bro.
I mean, and I agree with you because I mean, like, if you look at, one of the oldest religions, which is Hinduism, is that even then, when you look at that religion, one of the biggest ones that's lasted, is one of the oldest ones that we can find, it still revolved around controlling the lifestyle of people. You had the caste system, you had the workers in the what was so called the feet of God, and that once you completed this life, you would come back and reincarnate as someone else, possibly even in a higher caste system, and be able to enjoy a life of luxury. So you're talking about something that, if true, could have gone back 4,000 fucking years, or where, like, you look at the written histories, or the first recorded histories that we supposedly have in the world religions, the oldest one, and it's still revolved around controlling someone's lifestyle and their ability, or like their idea about how the world works. And then once you control the idea of like the afterlife, it seems that, like, from that point on, you even control the everyday actions of people. Even with Islam, I know you're praying 5 times, facing Mecca. I know you're not doing, you're not eating pork. I know you're gonna make the pilgrimage to Mecca at some point. As a Christian, I mean, you're gonna follow those rules to the very end, and you continue. It's all about like following the rules, or God will punish you. And then so you follow the world's laws to the end, no matter how unjust or how improbable they could possibly be. You continue to follow those rules and live a just life, as defined by what? I mean, like the Bible's very open, but I mean, like they tell you to live a just life. Don't kill nobody. I mean, those are embedded in our laws. I mean, to this day, and you just kind of hang back, and you'll be rewarded in the afterlife with heaven, virgins. You'll live a luxurious life in afterlife with your possessions when you bury them, like an Egyptian. I mean, like, that idea, it seems like it's like the ultimate form. Like, it seems like if that's true, the humans have been cultivating these types of systems for as long as we can even fucking remember.
Don't, like I said, bro, no conspiracies, just do facts, man. Fact or not, bro, the only book that a slave can read is the Bible. Like, you know what I mean? These are facts, bro. Why is this? So you're telling me that they can't read a single thing, but they can follow, the Bible?
When you're able Well, you're able to hijack that spirituality, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
divinity, bro. They control people's divinity.
yeah.
It's there in everybody, bro.
Yeah.
It really is, and they just find a way to manipulate.
Once you
that.
take that idea of God and make it what you want it to be, and want people to follow, then you have. I mean, it's like the ultimate control. You know, you're controlling someone's God.
Your God is whatever you base your morals around. And I think that's really is the best way to put it, and it really, that is your God. Because what are they doing there? They're creating your morals. They're creating your moral check boxes basically for you. You don't adultery, red box. You see what I mean? Like they created those boxes for you. When really it should be like, bro, like man. Then you get into things like you have to trust what DMX say, my man DMX. DMX say you trust somebody to be who they are. Listen, now we're gonna go deep on some deep level. You can go to simple shit of like if somebody's a bad person. If somebody's a rapist, right? You want them to show who they are. Not saying that you want them to rape someone, but you want them to show who they are. That's the long story short of it, basically, because you're able to identify it. But when people hide, then that's when you can have evil flourishing in these small corners. So you like to believe whatever I forget what religion is, but that at the center of all people is inherently good, right? That people want to do good. Remember we had that long trip and we were like, well, most people decide we won't murder people. Like you just know it, bro. You're like, okay, don't kill people, and then you're like, okay, don't rape people. Okay, don't steal. Okay, don't steal from the land. Don't rape the resources. And it's like. You only have to get to like these extreme laws of like how to fucking write a lawsuit when you have this many people trying to control like this fake ass society. That's really what it comes down to. Is like they're just gonna keep writing laws because they have to keep controlling this crazy ass madness that they created. So they're just keep making like look, and they're doing shit that's not even laws, like Snowden showed, right? Like they're looking at your keywords and reading your phone and shit like that. Like, come on, bro, how far do you? If that was what Snowden was able to see, what do you think they're doing, bro? It's absurd. It's probably absurd, bro.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. And I mean, I've always been a guy who's never really tried to like entertain conspiracy theories that are like, like that seem so far fetched. That seems so out of the box. But like. Again, it's just the idea of like, when we talk about religion, it's like, let's say the reality is that like there's a Jesus and God exists, okay, let's say that's what's right or what's correct. Well, then the idea of like anything else being off limits is absolutely insane. So when you cling to beliefs and things that you believe in and you take them as fact, well, I mean, like really in reality, in my mind, like anything is ultimately possible.
Right.
Well, if you believe that like if you believe that we're people on a planet and we live in a democracy and and this is all real and how it's supposed to be, well, I mean, like that's just as fucking crazy as the opposite of what it might be. I mean, like that's just as fucking crazy.
Well, if you believe in Jesus, right, you believe in magic.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, miracles. What you would call it? I mean, like
magic.
Yeah, it's called what it is. It's called what it is.
Well, it's not, right?
You duplicated fish.
He's walking on water. It's not a miracle. It's magic. You see what I mean? You believe in magic, brother. Nobody will admit that.
And that's what I'm saying. So how is anything else off limits?
Let's just play a game, right? So you say, you weren't this conspiracy guy, right? There is some conspiracies are wild. But let's just say, like, name a conspiracy, and I'll explain to you how they logically got there.
But I mean, how insane is it that there's lizard people? If there's a God in the sky, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? That's just all, I'm just saying.
So
I mean, like
at that point.
No, I mean, like, I'm not at that. I'm at the point where I'm not quite sure what I truly believe. I think there's a lot of possibilities, but I mean, like, really, at the end of the day, like, I'm viewing anything as ultimately possible until you can like kind of like verify otherwise. I mean, like, well, if I believe aliens are true, then like how unrealistic is that lizard men infiltrated the population and control our governments? I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I believe that aliens are true and that the possibilities out there, it's just too grand to be, not true. Well, then,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Well, like I said, let's try to logically connect things.
I'm trying to be careful about what I latch onto. You know what I'm saying?
Well, right, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Let's go logical. Like I'm not even saying that I believe in any of this, right? But let's just go from my knowledge of like how they get to lizard men, since that's what you brought up, right? Now, from what I understand, there's two ways you can look at the lizard men thing, right? This goes all the way back to the theory, right? I've tried to explain this to you before. I don't know if you remember, but the Egyptian theory, right? That a lot of people believe that there's an alien space, civilization that was here, right? That even visited here or was here, right? And that they actually still need minerals and things like that, right? So then, like, whatever it is, gold is a common one they say, but it can be anything, conductors, cobalt, who knows, right? This is just one way of seeing it, right? Is the fact that they need this. So the theory of that is that they created us as a slave race, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you get into kind of like the Matrix 4 I was explaining to you, right? Where like, okay, so they're still a civilization though, right? They still feel things, right? We see aliens of like, oh, they're making this logical decision, but they might still feel things. That's a chance too, 50-50, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So someone sees their civilization create a slave race on another planet so that they can have more minerals for what? Probably building like we do, right? And they object to that, right? So the theory is that they came down here and they inject it, they made it with the humans they created and gave us 50% of their DNA and 50% of ours. And that's why we were able to make like these crazy leaps during that Egyptian era. That's why they believe that, right? So that's just a theory around how that got there. You could find whatever other reason you want to. So then you get into two branches of that, right? Of like, so go with that route of like, now these people are reptilians, right? As you say, reptilian is just a way to describe like a being that has infiltrated, right? Basically, as they say it. Like, it doesn't necessarily be that way, right? I think they say reptilians because you go back to dinosaurs and things like that. You can date it back so far.
Yeah.
But really just anything that's infiltrated you like that, reptilians being. So let's say now they're watching over that decision, right? Like, okay, well, maybe that decision made them more profitable, bro. Maybe we created this system and now we pump more shit than we ever did when we were slaves.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Possibly, right? Or there's another way you can take that. Let's just say, knock out all the shit I just said. There's another alien civilization that has seen what's going on, and they're good, and maybe not bad, right? And now we've talked about before about like how would we even accept aliens if they came here and showed us they were here, right? There could be a lot of problems, a lot of issues with that. It's much easier if they had the ability to just blend in with us and just go to these high powers of government and make the ultimate decisions and just control like, okay, shit gets a little wild here, but we're not going to let no more nukes get dropped. You see what I mean? Or like, we're going to stop them. We're going to start using solar wind. Shit like that, like trying to work us through like a process, because if you gave it all at once, then we might rebel. You see what I mean? So it's just another way of looking at it. That's why they've looked at it like that. Because if like, so like, you just connected that data. Like if you believe this, you believe this, right? So if you believe, do you believe?
It's not that I believe it.
No, that's what I'm saying. But if you believe this, then you have to believe this. Well, like, do you believe in UFOs? Right. So then you get to the point of like, okay, I believe in UFOs. I do believe in UFOs. So they just come here every time and just chill right there, and just let them be seen. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It would make way more sense of, oh, well, if they're doing that, then they probably came down here. So now we're just connecting simple dots. You see what I mean? Just logical dots, no conspiracies. Of okay, we believe in that. We believe in UFO. Connect the dot. They've been down here. Then okay, well then even they're blending in, or they've made it, or they take us the abduction part. You see, so now you got to connect another dot from there. For me, I wouldn't connect another one because I don't know how I feel about like the abductions. I don't know how I feel about UFO sightings, but I do feel like I've seen shit, and I do believe there's aliens, and I do believe they probably, there's probably at least one civilization that has the ability to reach us, right? Yeah. So if we're at that point, well, they've touched down. So why couldn't they have easily,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Vacation.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
It's like
10 years. fucking Cali, I'm gonna be this guy. You know, some shit like and just leave. Like,
Yeah, but
be a
that's
lot of
but that's the
things.
thing, you know, like especially when you boil down a lot of these beliefs, just like you did, you know, it's like it's either this or that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like when you believe in that, well, then this is just as possible as that. I mean, like you know, it's like the idea, like it's like if you could believe that, well, how could you deny an alternate theory of like I don't know, let's say they were like fish people or some shark dudes, you know, like I mean, you know what I'm saying, or like
Yeah, well,
magma
any which
core
way.
people, mole people.
Right, but that's why I say you try to connect logical dots, and that's all we
Yeah.
can really do, right? Is we just simple look at the facts of like, well, first of all, in my opinion, I don't gotta go no farther on that argument,
Yeah.
right? As soon as
Well,
we go to you believe in UFOs, yeah, I believe in UFOs. So wait,
that's
so we both just agreed that aliens come here and be spotting us and shit? Yeah, there's not more to debate about that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's why, like you know, I was looking at those things where, like you know, I want to look for things that like I can clearly do that I can personally verify. You know, what I mean, like I said, you got the woods, you can navigate. You know, what I mean, like I can verify my location, like you know where I'm gonna go, like in this fucking plane that I perceive as real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
But then you get into
you
other
don't
things,
think this is real, but like, you know, I don't want to be a part of that. Well, what's the furthest I can go? Well, you get your own land, and you kind of live your own self-sustaining lifestyle.
Right.
You know, you're a woodsman, you can't live off the land. I mean,
But
you
let's
know,
just say like we're just talking conspiracies here, right? So let's just say your truth you find out is truth, right? Let's just say you go out there, you find that North Star, you learn to navigate it, and you follow it north, right? You learn to navigate, let's say, right? And you want to navigate. Well, then you get into other conspiracies, right? Now, for me personally, I'm not a flat earther guy. I feel like that one's hard for me to connect dots. You see what I mean? I can't like for there I have to connect like there's no scientific or historical or logical data for me to connect to from the first one. You see? So I can't do
man.
nothing with that. But there is one that kind of you can connect a few that are a little weird.
Okay.
Is well you learn to navigate, but people believe that you can't go to Antarctica, right? Like and how far that goes, I can't even argue it because once again, you would be just connecting dots that you can't prove with logic. Like, you know, some people say, you know,
Or without going in to do it yourself. Yeah. You
well,
trek right Antarctica.
well, people say they lie to you, bro. Like, this is what conspiracy theorists believe. A lot of flat earthers believe this part is that when you think you're going to Antarctica, you actually go to the North Pole. That's what they believe. Like, that, or when you're on a cruise past Antarctica, they think you're at the North Pole. It's crazy, right? It's great. It's crazy.
Okay.
It's like I don't have nothing to back it up, but I can't connect that dot because I can't. I got nothing to prove it here. You see what I mean? So I can't go down theories like that. But Rockefeller, you can connect 10 dots. You see what I mean? So like those ones, this is just all like speculation of like, well, here's the dots I try to connect there, right? I started thinking like maybe not how they're saying it. Maybe you can see it. Maybe you can track it. I don't know. But it does make sense that if we agree there's a world elite, they probably do have somewhere, right, for their self.
Not on the map.
And they wouldn't let you there.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
I connected that one dot. So I was at that dot. And then from there, you really can't say as anything. All right,
And that's the thing, you know, it's like when you get to that point, well, let's just get back to things where we can verify and we're like, well, that I can actually apply. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, like, well, you're either saying that I can't go to Antarctica to verify it myself, or that I'm not going to, and I'm gonna go and do what I want to do.
Well,
you know?
As the theory goes, they're gonna convince you that you are in Antarctica.
Yeah, so if you do go, that's what I'm saying. So if you do go make the trek to verify yourself, that's one of the options you can go. But once you have that idea, then that doesn't really give you anything else there. You went, let's say you do go to Antarctica. Okay, well then now you propose that question of, well, did I really go to Antarctica? Well, now we're getting to a block. So
if you got to that point, then your north south wasn't real.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. But what can I do? And what other people do is that, like, well, I can go in this acre or whatever of land that I own or whatever, and using a star or whatever, I can navigate this piece of land, because people do that. I don't think that's crazy. I think people do that. They go out in the wilderness, they will explore, and they can trek places, and use shit to navigate and go. I mean, I think that if we're here, I think we have to accept the fact that at some point we were ancient and that we did use those things to navigate.
But
And we
they
can move this
themselves could
planet.
be a hologram.
Yeah. Well, again, am I gonna go to space?
I'm just going that far.
Again, am I going to space? Probably not. So I mean, then I arrived at kind of like the answer of like where you talk about where like you go and you start your life and you live off the land and live in seclusion and try and figure out how to like
So
get
I
the
don't
people
know what's
and
right or wrong. Between all that, we can't tell what's right or wrong.
Yeah.
So you just start over and you just try to do the rights, right? You just try to be. Honest
but like
and live good.
Ultimately, like if you want to run down the logical or even the abstract right brain or left brain path, I think that's about as good as answer as you can really provide and verify. I mean, like you don't agree with it. Well, are you then not going to change it, or are you going to change it? Are you going to find refuge with yourself, or are you going to find refuge with people? I mean, it almost feels like a flow chart of like, it's either this or that. I mean, like, yeah, there's the gray in areas, but like, what can you really ultimately verify? I think you chase everything down to the end's earth, and at the end of the day, what I can do, what I think I can verify is I can go to fucking land, change some minds. I mean, that's not crazy. I mean, like, if aliens are real, how crazy is that? I mean, like, movements, historically, if that's real, that's how people have gotten it done.
Right.
Is by standing up to the ideas that they don't believe in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like to go conspiratorial on that because it's like, I believe in people, right?
Right.
And I believe that, like, we weren't invented 100 years ago because I believe I can truly follow that.
Yeah.
So I know, I like that I know people came west.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you would just fucking.
And then,
that seems logical.
I mean, like, and that's the other thing, Leva. We're working with all that, and then you look at like news and stuff, and then people are just like, people are evil. There's murder about, people are robbing everybody. There's murder everywhere. People are shooting people like crazy. Random innocent people, not even a part of like anything. They're just random acts of violence or some shit. Now people are scared to go places. People are scared to go places. It was like, they're scared to go. Like now I don't want to trust you,
bro. Do you remember Truman Show?
Yeah.
What he did? What he did? Like cross that bridge.
Yeah, and then
he never wanted to cross that bridge. The one day just guns it.
Yeah, he just like take the wheel.
Because they built his whole fear around not going across that bridge, bro.
So
shit is sick.
So yeah, I mean,
see the thing, like when you were just talking about right there, is like your yin and your yang is gonna change deciding on what you choose to believe, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, like I was realizing, like why does it get so much harder, right, to like try to like show an adult and change an adult than it does with a kid? Well, a lot of times, like, we're not even arguing, who's right and who's wrong. That's what I was saying the other day. Like, we preach this so much, like we talk about it so much. We need to be able to do this too, is admit, like, you know what? It could have been 5 years. My thoughts on that were wrong, bro. Like, that was wrong. And you need to be able to adapt, right? Instead of being stuck in this way. So so you reach these people that, like, where we're not even debate, like, who's right about why the war started, right? Like, we're just debating how long you have invested. So, like, if you just learned about that war yesterday and now you're coming to me, I can convince you things aren't true, right? I can show you other things that
I'll literally sit and be like, "Did you know?" Right. And you're like, "I didn't know that."
Right? You see what I mean? So you can do that.
You thought the Austrians were this, but you didn't know what I just told you.
But now say someone's born into Christianity or born into Islam, right? And by the time you meet anyone outside of your circle, right? Because you go to these mosques and you stay in these schools with your circle. By the time you reach anyone who says something different, you're 20 years old. You're in college, right? You're 21 years old. And now it's like, they're not even arguing if Islam is the right religion. They're arguing for 21 years. The 5 prayers a day that you've said. The moral codes that you lived by. Some people have decided they've invested too much to change.
Is it education or indoctrination? I mean, like, it's funny because like, that's why I sent you yesterday and I unsent it. And I was like, it's corny. Because I was just sitting there. I was literally just because I mean, like, again, I think about
Not corny,
I,
bro.
I think about
Not
what
corny.
we talk about. I mean, like after we left, it wasn't like it's like just go back and you just forget about what we just talked about. You just go, you think about it, you look up some shit, you think about it some more. And you kind of like like I mean that's what conversation like talking. That's what it's all about.
For sure.
And I mean like really it's like it's like when especially when like you see people like Hancock Carson like, they call it that dogma of like the inability or like the no want to want to go back and revisit these things
Yeah.
because they're ingrained as culture. It's almost like a cultural fact. It's like what I'm saying, like it's where it's like this is what humans have verified. This is what we as a human species have verified together. But really a few people verified that and told the masses, or didn't verify that and told the masses. I mean, like,
And not only that, bro, but yes, you're absolutely right. Yes, you're absolutely right. But like, it even goes to a deeper tier, right? Of like, what do you base yourself around? Oh, this person bases himself around being smart.
yeah,
Okay, well, what's he know?
Yeah.
Does he know history, right? So now, right, the same thing that gets him bitches, he has to admit to you he's wrong about.
yeah. So,
he's got his wife because he's a professor.
Look, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where it's like it's like being careful of like kind of like what you kind of latch to, because you take you take these beliefs and then they almost become a part of like of you because they're your beliefs. Well, when you start attacking that, well, now you're attacking my beliefs. It's a very hard. So I mean, we gotta be very careful of like latching on to things. And you're just so attached to it. Well, now I can't let go of this thing.
The basics, okay? So detach from everything in your life. That's what I was thinking about, right? Detach from everything in your life. Now attach what you want, right? So you're still attaching those emotions that you want. You see what I mean? You still want to feel those things. You still want to think like that. You know what I mean? So you're thinking like trying to think about. I lost my thought on a long story. But you're thinking about like what you want to attach to your life as far as what you could remove is what I was talking about. So I guess what I was trying to say is like what would you still keep if you detached from that's what I was trying to say, right? So say you detached from all those things. Well, what would you still attach to? Well, most of us still attach to you're not gonna murder.
Morals.
You're not. You see what I mean?
Morals.
You're not going to rape no one, right? So you establish like those morals, and then like you still want to experience feelings. So you still embrace all the feelings.
It's like
that
morals
come with it.
And then like once you kind of like have that solidified, now we can get down into intricacies of kind of like social development and how we develop this relationship.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I do think people, to a certain degree, could be incompatible in certain types of groups or environments. I mean, other people thrive, and whether they're good or bad for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but they gotta be able to change, man. It's really simple as that.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want to attach.
But there's certain things you can attach to.
That's what we're saying. You know what morals.
Attach to your thing, your morals.
Those things.
But outside of that, you need to be able to just accept anything as it goes, man.
Yeah, and again, like you were saying, it's also the idea of like, every leader at one point's got to be a follower, and I think that was a very big thing that you said, because when we get to a point where we believe things are going in the wrong way, let's say that they're not even. Let's just say we disagree about how to go about in a community parking infringements or some dumb shit. Some people believe it should be a fine. Some people should believe that we shouldn't worry about it. It's kind of like useless to even worry about it. And then these people go this way, and people feel so attached to going that way, they don't want to follow through. They want to go and create kind of something off on their own to then just be like, okay, well, we created this, and now we're doing it this way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's something that's a silly example, but like, it's like if we're gonna have that type of society that we want to envision, or that type of a village that you want to envision, that at one point, you're gonna come to a point where you disagree. Will you fall in line, or like how's that really gonna work? I mean, like who has the better idea?
Like I'm saying, like yes, right. So what I'm saying is always apply what the system has done to people, though, right? So when you talk about something like parking tickets, like okay, well, in my opinion, why do most people believe like that parking tickets should exist, right? It's the fact that you could get one. It's the fact that you've got a parking ticket before, or that if you parked illegally, you could get one. But if you removed those illegal spots and you just started allowing people to park, or whatever it is, not saying that's the right thing to do, but if that's what you did, then a lot of people would be like, yeah, get rid of the parking tickets. Because no one's getting them. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's the fact that, like, well, if I've paid them before, that's the main thing, is how people feel, right? It's like, there's these military brats, or there's these, cops that, grew up in law enforcement. They're like, well, I've done this, so if you haven't done it, then that's your fault, basically. They're stuck in that, like people that go to college. It's like, well, I went to college, so I expect to make more money. So I don't know what the fuck makes you expect that. You know what I mean? Because nothing in America's framework says it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literally talking about maybe 80 years ago at this point, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, all the rich
We're
people.
past that now, man.
Everybody
We're
rich
past
in
that point
America
now.
tells you don't go to college.
Yeah, we're past that point now.
Yeah, everybody's done with that. You see what I mean? So, but they went to college, right? So I have my frat boys. Ain't nobody that didn't go to my college, but my frat boy's gonna come in here and tell me don't go to college. You see what I mean? So that's what, like, we get into that thing of what I talked about of, like, they're gonna keep finding more and more ways to divide you, bro. Bro, why does the Marines hate the Army?
Yeah.
Why does the Army hate the Air Force? And the Air Force hate the Marines? Why does the CIA hate the FBI? And the FBI hates the CIA?
Yeah. Yeah.
Baltimore hates New York, and Maryland hates Pittsburgh. Pennsylvania. Yeah. Black people hate white people. Poor people hate rich people. You know what I mean? We argue about reality TV, who we want to win, who should have got voted off, which couple would have worked together. Blue versus red. You know what I mean? Mayor versus Democrat. Mayor versus governor versus Senate. Governor goes against mayor. Mayor goes against governor. Mayor blames police chief. Police chief blames funding. Funding blames Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve blames Fed. Housing blames banking. Banking blames people. People blame jobs. You see what I mean, bro? Like, oh my God, dude. It's like, I've never seen nothing like it, bro. Why is for the wage gap?
Thank you, sir. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, like, and for real. I mean, okay. I was gonna say. I thought you were about to, like. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not
like,
crazy, Steve. I'm not crazy, Steve.
The division of people. I mean, like, it's like.
That's what afrays me when you say that I'm crazy.
But
when you think I'm crazy, bro, I know that I start. That's what makes me feel crazy. That's what makes me. I'm scared. That's why I get defensive, because I'm scared that means I'm crazy, because you're my last line of defense.
I mean, we're very. But you also understand. Like, I do think we do think a lot of things the same way. But I think the way we think about those particular things are very different. At times. I mean, just the routes you take, or like what you start thinking about. I mean, it's just like which is a good thing. I mean, like if you're on the same wavelength anywhere, I mean, like those different things can kind of help, like keep things kind of like on track, and kind of like But I mean, like but I mean, like, even with those divisions, I do think people, because I mean, like, you would have in a utopia, you would have like your sports leagues. I would think you would still identify with a sports team and be like, hey, yeah, but it's like cheering for that in like a healthy way almost. It's like the division. You don't scrap the other team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like,
what I'm saying. So now look at the basis of a human, bros, right? So we talked about how they controlled your divine work
opposition,
ethic, right? Listen, we talked about how they control your divine work ethic, how they try to control that, right? So now I have to try to control your energy. I have to try to control your interest. I have to funnel all this back into one big circle. So now I'm going to make sure you're in the same spot every Sunday, whether it's church or a football stadium. Bro,
but I understand that. Yeah, I get that. I understand that.
Coliseum.
Yeah, yeah. 100%, bro. Yeah, I understand that. But I mean, like, moving past. I mean, like, because I mean, like, I don't think at the core those things are inherently created for evil. I mean, like, I think you can, like I said, like, you can go and have those sports leagues. Like, you're in your village, and you have, let's say you have 4 opposing teams in a little league of like a league you organize. Like exactly, and at the end of the day, it's just like, man, you really give it to us out there, bro. It's like,
But see, what I'm saying with that, right, is we have a problem because they'll throw out $500 million for that stadium, but they won't give the schools AC. So you see what I mean? Like, does that just happen from votes? No, Steve, that happens from corruption. So this is tied together into one big circle. Those same people that you're talking about rooting for, follow it up. Keep connecting the dots. Who's it lead to? Billionaires. Billionaires.
Well, yeah,
bro.
because sports worlds the world we're talking about right now is literally an asset holdings kind of thing. That's simply what it is.
Own a lot of these top companies. Own sports teams, brother.
Well, that's the thing. It's either that or your pretty little $90 billion just sits in a bank. Whereas I could own a sports team, make more money. It's an asset. I have a $90 billion sports team, and it makes me more money. And you guys are all fucked up and and chilling and going and fighting each other over who's better, the Bills or the fucking Eagles.
You remember what John Gruden got fired for, right?
Yeah.
For what he said about that guy's lips, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember how Steve Ballmer got the Clippers?
Right? Yeah.
Because of what that guy said, right? Those racist and things, right?
Yeah.
They all think like that. They all think like that. It's dominated by black athletes. And everybody who's out there is nothing more than entertainment slaves, bro. Of course you would buy an entertainment slave team where people will do what you say and you can call these shots on people's lives. Their entire lives, their contracts for what they've worked their entire life for. Now you control the future of, bro. Of course you want to be in these circles.
And then you see look, even better. Then you see him out there parading himself in this fucking nice ass car and jewelry. And everyone's going crazy over it. Fucking
21-year-olds.
That dude in the NBA said some wall shit, and people were all talking about it. You fucking love it,
bro. Fuck out there, bro. Just got a bunch of slaves playing ball for him. In my opinion, it's like you remember. This is true facts, right? Back in the day when they would make two slaves fight each other, somebody would get their best fighting slave. Somebody with their best fighting slave. You make them fight each other. It's entertainment factor, brother. I got my best ones. You got yours. Yeah. Let's see who wins this.
Yeah. And look, bro.
Listen. The bet you never heard of is the one that's going between owners when their teams play, bro.
Look, I remember I was tripping balls by myself. This was like last year, and I remember I'd messaged you, and it was an older clip. But I remember I turned on TV, like cable, and I turned on ESPN, and there was a fight replaying, and it was this brutal ass knockout. I forgot the guy's name, but he has like a weird beard and like a crazy symmetrical groomed beard. I don't know his name, but he remember he's choking this guy out. And I remember like the one dude's choking him out, just like kind of sitting there, like looking at him, and he's like kind of just like looking at him in his ear and kind of choking him out on TV. And I remember tripping balls. I'm just sitting there looking at this, and like he's tripping balls. He's holding, choking him out, and dude doesn't tap. He just goes out. Okay, and then he drops him. They let him go, and he goes parade off. He's victorious. And I'm just sitting here. I'm just like, what the absolute fuck? Because I mean, like with sports, like dunking a basketball. I said, oh, okay, you dunked on him. Oh, shit. You got dunked on. This guy got choked out. Other guy felt the life be ripped out of this guy in a sense. Because he would have been gone if he held that any longer. He'd pass out. He'd be dead.
Yeah.
So you have, again, rich people orchestrating this event for poor people to fight for a low chunk of change.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, this is morbid.
So now we just followed it up, right? We just followed up to the owners, explained how that could easily be done, right? Now follow it down and think about the ripple effect it has, brother. After every single ad they tell you for sports betting, what has to be followed with it? If you're having any gambling issues, call this number, bro. Mm-hmm. How many lives has gambling destroyed? Betting, bro. Another way to control your entire income. They give you the money, then they tell you where to spend it, bro. It's like, it's genius, bro. They got an awesome system.
But I mean, it's like, I just like you look at that and you're like, okay, well then they see opportunities to set up gambling, but then people also see the opportunity to cash in on people with gambling addictions. They set up this gambling services. I can charge your insurance for that or some shit, and then. Further than that, here's a drink. You get addicted to the drink. Well, you buy and drink, but then I also offer you the recovery program for you to get off the drink, and you buy off of that. And then I keep putting the ads out there. It's all up to you to do it. But if you fucking relapse in this alcohol world, well, that's on you, buddy. And hopefully you come back to it's like
Yep.
an impending cycle. Then you go couple that in with the jail pipeline. I mean, you couple that in with that. I mean, like it's just
It never
oh man,
stops.
god
I mean,
damn, bro.
there's just so many to connect that there's no possible way somebody could look at me with a straight face and say things are going good. There's just no way, bro. I don't want to hear about life expectancy. I don't want to hear about nothing. We could talk about real numbers, bro. You can talk about something like suicides, mental depression. You know what I mean? Like that's, bro. I mean, even like they say the fall of every, the end. End of every fall of every civilization is.
I mean,
they get weird, bro.
And we think about, people always ask, especially they're just like they wonder why we don't have the necessary social programs in place that could possibly help people. We wonder why, and people try to fight to get those back in place. And it's like what you say, where it's like when they're ready to give it to you, and then they just give it to you, and then it's on to the next fight.
Right, but
for like a right,
that,
like you fight on for the next thing.
Well, even while you're fighting for that, though, you're at the same time turning the blind eye to the poisoning of your food and water and politics every day. You see, so even when you won, So I think, well, they're gonna Clintons are on me, bro. I'm telling you. I think the Clintons be killing a lot of people. I'm not the Clintons, I was stupid, but I think that they be killing a lot of people of like average people, bro. That like they say like die normal ways or make it look normal ways. I think that does happen a lot, bro. That's why I kind of always scared with what I say.
And that's why I think about like what the news is. I mean, like it's a televised of what they want to see you. I mean, it's what they want to put on television. And when you do have whatever type of scandal you may want to talk about, it's because they possibly rubbed someone the wrong way, and now they're being made an example of to fall back in line or something. I mean, you're just doing too much and going too far. I mean, like I always try to think of like why would they let someone like Epstein come to like a public light and have that televised across anywhere other than for them, to make an example out of him. I mean, like, why else would you do that? It's like, look, we're going to execute you and we're going to televise the whole story. If you do some crazy shit like that, I mean, like, because I mean, like, if you think of like, the upper power circle, I mean, there's people that be providing services. I mean, there's be someone that you go to for the girls. There's be someone you go to for this. It's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Someone's gonna provide you with those girls. I mean, like, or you could try and set up your own. But like Epstein clearly was a trafficker of some sort. In a higher circle. Why would you let him come to light? Well, you wanted him to be executed on public television and have it be the talk of everybody. I mean,
look,
and then you can show him. Yeah.
Look, there was this island. They want you to believe that was the island. That ain't the island, bro. That's a island.
No.
You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
Like, they want you to believe you won one.
No.
Yeah, see, it's all true, and we got him. Man, fuck it. We could keep, like, we could keep going down these all day long, right? Because the fact is, if we want to talk about them, we can. Yeah. The truth is that we should be focusing on how we're going to solve the issues, right? So, like, that's where I get into, like, okay, well, I got all these ideas to build the dream. You got to arm yourself, right? Because if they see that dream, you fear that they're going to try to come up with something, bro.
Now, I'm sorry, before we go on that, I've been trying to figure out, trying to explain, trying to think about why was it ingrained in American society to arm themselves?
Well, that's what I was saying about, like, I can't predict 1776.
Yeah.
I don't know what corruption was even going on at that time, right? Can't even date it back to nothing. So that's why I said I think that maybe it was an uprising of people and it took them a while to get this under control. But you see, as they say, like 71, maybe 71 was the year that we did it.
They have that. I mean, the right to bear arms. I mean, they outline freedom of press, speech, religion. They outline cruel and unusual punishment. I've been trying to explain why that might be ingrained in our country.
My theory of it, I told you, I think it goes bigger than country itself. I think it's all on a world order. I really do believe that. So in my mind, they're going to give you a version of everything, right? So like there's diversity all across the country. Like China's not like Taiwan. Taiwan's not like Philippines, but these are all Chinese.
Yeah,
You see what I
yeah.
mean? These are all Asian, right? So with America, Canada, right? Like it's like it's just
But-
different versions of what you
but-
want, bro.
But rarely do they. I mean, rarely do they get the right to bear arms, which would seem dangerous for anybody,
Everything that you
especially
said,
if you didn't
look,
need to do it.
everything that you said
Especially if you
America
didn't need to do it.
has, China has the opposite of, right? And then outside of that, Russia has a different form of that. But then you can go to Switzerland where everything's green. Then you can go to Amsterdam where you can buy a horad. Then you can go to Las Vegas where you can place a bet. You can go to North Korea where they shoot a missile.
You can go to Thailand and have sex with a kid.
Exactly. They've given you all of the options you could possibly want. The illusion of choice. You see
Okay,
what
fair
I
enough.
mean?
Fair enough.
Because you're still
Fair
gonna
enough.
indulge in things, bro. And then like I said, I don't think they pull every string, right? So like that lady that's in the summer walking with her cart in those ice creams that she makes. You would pay for that ice cream. You would go out of your way to find that lady. So time out of your day, money out of your pocket to find that lady. I don't think a Rockefeller got a lady that
Okay.
you see what I mean?
Fair
Because
enough, fair
that's just that lady doing that. So maybe that's what happened with America's uprising. Maybe. Or someone funded it. And,
Right. Okay.
know,
Okay. Fair enough.
I think that these things are funded, right? But it doesn't mean it'll go to plan, right?
Yeah,
If it's done by
yeah.
a human, it can still have flaw, right? So let's say 1776, they come up with this idea to be like, all right, we're going to break away from this king system. Because once we get away from this king system, we can make us the kings, you know? So Magna Carta, right? So we come with the Magna Carta, then we come with these things. And now we need like to break apart from that, right? So they create a way to break apart from it, but you can't control that wildfire, right? So like you can't control what that becomes.
Right.
You can't control what 100,000 people in a rebellion do. I think there's still free will. I believe that, you know, there is free will. These people don't control every emotion. They fund them. So they can fund what happens, but they can't control really what happens.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like they say with those riots, right, that happened. They say people were putting bricks out there, right? They say, as they say, people were putting stacks of bricks out there. They can't make you pick up a brick, but they can put the bricks there. You see what I mean? They can fund the shit, but they have free will. So let's just say there's one person, right? That's the thing. That's what I believe, right? So say they've got the minds of 5 people, right? So let's just say in that cabinet, there's like, you know, John Adams, Thomas Edison, Andrew Johnson, George Washington, John Quincy, I don't fucking know, whoever else there is, you know, goddamn, I don't know. And there's just one person there, right? That just comes up with some different ideas, bro. Just one person, right? These people aren't robots. You see what I mean? That's why I believe in what I'm doing. Because I don't think people are robots. They like it only takes Thomas Edison to come up and be like, bro, that shit you guys are on, I'm telling y'all, like, that's the same shit that got us here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they all like, they're not robots. They can feel things, bro. People can change if they just are willing to drop that ego and do it, you know? So they're like, you know what? Like, this guy makes a lot of fucking sense. And then, you know, Thomas comes up and he's the only person in that whole table that's like, we need to give people the ability to have their own guns this time because that's what fucked us last time. And everybody else was ready to say no guns before Thomas said that. But they're like, you know what? I remember when King Leonardo did fucking take all the weapons and came in through there with the chariots, you know what I mean? Or whatever
Yeah, exactly.
And you improve. It just takes that person to be able to do that. They cannot control every motion, bro. You know, but they can put the money behind it. That's the thing.
And that's the thing that I was, you know, I mean, like, that's the thing I was like, you know, like, thinking about, like, was like, you know, especially with something like that, you know, it's like, is it, I don't know, it's tough, you know, because I mean, like, you know, because just like there are radical evil people, I mean, there are good people who can also be a driving force for good.
Yeah.
Now, in the same flight, you know, I mean, you could flip that, and you know, maybe these very people that went to make this branch, you know, make this new branch, saw and knew what could possibly ever become.
Yeah.
Well, if you have it ingrained in the culture of the country to bear arms, uprise against a tyrannical government, well, then no one could ever quash that. It's ingrained in what we are and what we identify as. Well, I mean, like, again, I mean, like, you know, I mean, what?
But
You know, what could have?
time that became a capitalist society, which would be like the ultimate breeding ground for these ideas. in this system, So at the same time, it's like, yeah, but there was obviously something there, right? Because here's my thing. Here's my big thing. This is when you get into UBI, universal basic income, because like when you're saying that a lot of this evil, like, well, what is a lot of this evil caused by? It's like money is the motive, whether it be, for food, for shelter, whatever it is, like even for respect and things like that. Like money is based around that, right? So like that's the idea of like getting that land, bro. It's being able to say to someone, you can come here. We're gonna build a shelter for you and your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're gonna provide you with food, and you're not gonna need anything to live tomorrow.
Yeah. The way I'm thinking is like, people have always tried to keep in place, especially rich and powerful people, have always tried to keep in place a form of control and kind of like class system and governmental ways to run society. So you look at what we came from with England, which is a monarchy with a class system built of lords and peasants, where there are lords of the land and peasants work. So then you have a group of people who aren't happy with that go off to the uncharted lands and try to create something different. Well, we don't want lords and peasants anymore.
Exactly. So
we want multiple. It can't just be one king. Well, we need multiple bodies of lower level kings. Like, is it? I mean, like, because it's like kind of like combining like what we think of as real history and kind of like conspiratorial thinkings of how we operate things. Are they necessarily separate, or is it possible that like people have throughout time been fighting against evil and creating new ideas?
So listen. Once again, I disconnect that. So that's what I'm trying to do. Right? I'm trying to say the problems that I've seen, right? So that good can improve, right? Because I believe that you're right? A king is going to say, well, I'm not going to allow this to happen. They're going to always do that, right? So that's what I'm trying to preach, right? Is that you be generous, but you do not be gullible, right? So now think about the best people you know in your life, bro. Think about all the most nicest people you met in your life. And then think about all the stories you know of the time they got taken advantage of. Because they're so nice, bro, that they're gullible. And evil, that's why I said evil always has that advantage, right? Our advantage is that people are going to get behind good because they're inherently good. So they're going to get behind that. Evil's advantage is they're going to do things that good will not, right? So they're willing to prey on that, bro. If you're going to give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to improve that, right? We're trying to say that, you know what? We've established this line. We're not going to come over here and say, you know what, anarchy. We're not going to say we're killing all of you. But don't cross this line.
Yeah, but also, like, also, in a sense, evil wins when good people stop acting like how they would normally kind of like act. As soon as evil can kind of alter, well, I won't take this person in because they might be evil. Then evil also wins in a sense. So it's also kind of like in essence of being good. Well, accepting being good in my mind would be, of course, accepting that reality. Yeah. Now you can be taking it, but I mean, like that. It's kind of like we're talking about like I don't want to say that like if someone keeps kind of like leeching off you for money. Not like that,
This is where we separate spiritual. So you have to separate spirituality and reality.
Okay, solid point.
What you're talking about is the correct spiritual way to put it. Is that you should always have faith.
Good point. That's solid.
That every soul is good, right?
Yeah.
But you're in a human experience.
Yeah.
And you got to know what humans are, and you have to accept that, right? And that's why it's preached that, like, dude, it's preached that when you see evil, you destroy it. That is how evil is preached, So that's there's a part there.
It's kind of like a soft on crime, soft on evil approach.
Really, you know what I mean? But like you have to be willing to be like, you know what? We know what humans are. We know of yin and yang. We know of this. And then also think about like a lot of that still comes from capitalist society or, wanting to be like one up someone or if, well, if I don't get it from you, then I'm going to get it, So that's what you're trying to eliminate is like, that's how I explained this to you before, right? It's like, okay, bro, I get this land, right? So I let you move there and we build you a house. And then we get you a garden and we get you food, livestock, right? So you have food and you have shelter. If you then go do something bad, you are a dickhead. You see what I mean? You are then a dickhead.
Yeah.
You have no reason to go steal from someone. You are not hungry, and you do not have, you are not homeless. You have a place to go at night, and you have food to eat. So if you do something now, you're sadistic, bro. You have evil inside of you. You know what I mean? Obviously not with a kid. A kid's going to make mistakes. As an adult, someone's going around the village stealing.
Mm-hmm.
You have a problem, bro.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Going around the village lying. You have a problem. There's no reason for you to do that other than evil
and
ego.
And you know what's funny is that
pride.
when you mentioned that, I just thought about this, because I mean it's like, okay, well then you gotta think about like how far, especially with these rules that have been put in place, are we to control human actions.
Right.
So you look at what the Bible says, and they bring up no adultery. Well, you can't cheat. Well, because in a village, well, if you come sleep with my wife, well, now we have something between us that has to be solved, or there's not peace in the village. So like you then impose a law of no adultery, then you are expelled. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I got a little theory on that too, though, bro. So here's my theory on adultery, right? My mind's always working of how are they trying to knock you down, right? That's how my mind's working of why that. Well, okay, well if we agree they created this in corruption, and they created this system of corruption, why is this applied to this system, right?
Yeah.
My belief is that they wanted a lot of single parents, bro. So what I'll do is keep fighting wars, right? And I'll get to the point where if I don't got enough troops, I can then draft whoever I want, take whoever I want. But I'll make it to where one of the best jobs in the American economy is war, to go to war, right? And the entire time while I have your husband at war, I'll leave you at home with the temptations and the children. And I'll destroy these families, bro. And and then if you go and do something else, you've committed adultery.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you at war. I'll destroy your homes. And my thought from this came, right, from the Native American book that I read. And all Native American groups, bro, believed were poly, not mono, right? We're poly. And the single reason they did that was because they fought so much that they didn't want an entire village full of widows weeping. Every year, somebody's husband was getting dead. So they wanted women to be able to move on and continue a strong civilization with strong families, which would make sense. But instead, I'll create it as mono. I'll create it to where you're based around one person. If you do anything, even you're financially based around that person.
As I'm saying, so then you solve that issue by kind of preaching polygamy, right?
I don't know if I'm that far.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know if I'm that far. That's okay.
Well, then, in which you would then have a poly society, and then you would immediately kind of like excommunicate whoever would be monogamous, because if you allow monogamy in the poly community, then it's like, well, then you get some cheating, and then a monogamy person has a problem with something like that. Well, then,
here's my
thing. I'm saying? How far?
Here's my thing, right? We can't delegate every single thing, right? You can't delegate all the way down what's going through
100%,
right? You can't do that. You can't do that, right? So what you want to do, Steve, is here's one thing I've learned through all this thinking I've done about this shit. Is what you want to do, Steve, is try to avoid the most answers you can. What you want to do is let people try to figure out shit, bro. So that problem you're talking about right there, that is a problem. But that's a fucking simple problem, bro. Figure it the fuck out. If you're poly, you're poly. If you're mono, you're mono. If you're mono and you want to become poly, then become. If you're poly and you want to become mono.
You're not going to kill him, so then what are we doing here? You're not going to kill him. You aren't going to touch him. You aren't going to touch him.
We're not going to coexist.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not going to solve cheating. You're not going to solve cheating.
As I'm saying, like, it's just like.
To me, cheating isn't a moral code violation, though, bro. I'm not worried about solving that, not one bit. I really am not. If there's problems along that, then you could come up with ways to solve that issue.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think of. That's how they were thinking about how to solve a societal issue.
But listen,
you know what I mean?
Here's my thing. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is one way.
I mean,
Yeah. For me, I would see it evil. Like I said, if it's evil, I decided the religion was evil, and I decided the system was evil. So now I put both the religion in the system, and I'm gonna try to find a good one out of it.
yeah, but I mean, like,
No.
I think one of the cornerstones of like, what you would want to
Try to
do.
stay out
That's
of
what I'm saying. Is the cornerstone thing of what you want to do is kind of like a harmony amongst the people of which in your village. I mean, you got the,
Listen,
I mean, you know.
bro, stay out of people's sex lives. I think that's the way to go about it. Just stay out of people's sex lives, bro. Don't tell them how to have sex. Don't tell them when you can have sex or who you can have sex with. Let people decide that, bro. And simply, it's straight up, you're not taking nobody by their will. And that's the only rule, is that you don't take nobody by will. And of course, you're not going to be out here fucking children.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, 100%.
Right. So that's simple as that. Like, other than that, I feel like when you trying to get to these limits of like, what are you? Oh, do you believe in multiple people? Do you want to have a threesome? Do you want to let everybody decide what they're comfortable with in their own skin, right? Because that's the thing. What you're doing, bro, you're doing the right thing. I love that you're doing it, but you're trying to solve a lot of issues that are presented by what we have going on now, right? So in the world that we're talking about trying to create, there's a lot more freedom. There's not that much stress on things like that.
Yeah.
So like you're hoping that like people are more able to say, you know what? I am in a mono relationship, but we're both attracted to this person. So we're open now, right?
Well, see,
and then we're able to even say, you know what? I'm not poly, but I slept with someone else and we can still be together. Like a different level.
I'm trying to think about things that could be very small, but could also lead to very large, kind of like, I think kind of like consequential things.
But listen, what's going to involve to a consequential thing right there is you trying to get involved in people's sex life, bro. Stay out of people's sex life, dude. Don't try to control that. It's just one of them aspects that I think you should just leave alone, bro. It's straight up, don't fuck kids and don't rape people. Other than that, like, I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out, like, what's okay or what's going to cause problems there because we know how freaky people can get. And you know how people can get, right? So, like, the moment that you sit here and you start trying to be like, oh, it's this or it's that, it's like you're causing people like it's the same. To me, that's the same thing of being like, is abortion legal? Is abortion legal?
So
no, I'm not even gonna get into it because it's not my right. You see what I mean? Like that's straight up your call. Is that gonna cause problems? Yes. We have to figure out those problems in society. There's no way I can avoid those problems. I'm not going to come up with laws to change your anatomy or your nature.
And that's the question I'm posing is like, well, then I'm trying to think about what do we do beyond that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying let's control people. I'm saying let's think about what like, because I mean, like I think that's an issue that could easily be like 90% probability of happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, some shit's gonna go out here. I mean, like,
so you talk about a problem like that, right? So I don't know exactly which problem you're talking about, but some issue, right, that related like that. I believe that like me and you that night could go talk to that person, right? And that guy. And I would have 5 or 6 women, maybe 10, 15, 20 women that could go talk to that women that day, right? Because we're a village, bro. We're a village. We're not a city. We're a village. That we're all sitting around this campfire tonight. We're having this talk, bro. Let's talk about it. Like, is it to the point where this man needs to die? Then you're gone. Then you need to go find a life somewhere else, right? Because if we didn't break no moral codes here, right? He didn't kill someone. He didn't rape.
You need to be gone.
He didn't rape. Exactly. You know what I mean? He didn't rape your woman, right? We need to figure out what's going on here, right? So we can have this talk, right? We can have this talk, bro. We're trying to be more open about these things and straight up say, do you still love this man? I'm just trying to sum it up basically. Do you still love this man? Do you still love this woman? Are you willing to get past this? If you're willing to get past this, then we need to figure out how to mitigate this. We need to figure out how to move on because these problems are going to occur regardless. Sex is something you cannot control. That's what I've came up with, bro. Because I've tried to limit it and be like, oh, well, if you do this, you do this. You just cause more problems. Yeah, 100%. So when they come, you deal with them and you say, look, do you guys still want to be together? Okay, well, then we're going to work through this. If not, then we're going to go opposite ways.
Which is why when you look at like how like what we look at like nowadays, it's like, okay, you do whatever you want in this world. There's no control over it. Well, when you try to enter a monogamous relationship, now that's why we get the law involved. Well, because now we're doing this thing where like you guys are agreeing that you guys are gonna do this. Okay, well one of you does this, but now one of you is entitled to this. After kind of a separation. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like like they're trying to get like ahead of it. Well, of course you can't put limits on sex, but like
Right.
their attempts to are okay. Whenever we're gonna try and preach no adultery. Okay, another attempt is that okay, well you can do whatever you want, but you can enter this legal bound where you guys are monogamous, and then you have
Right.
a set of consequences from there. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
it's
what
like
you're getting
and those
to,
kind
I
of
got
things.
you, I
Like
got you, I got
I
you.
look,
No,
I look at
no.
real world examples and like how they try to solve
got
things
you.
here and how we can kind of like think about better. You know?
What you're getting to is the truth, right?
Yeah.
And the truth is that eventually, what I'm saying here, eventually you're going to hit a point where the man does not agree and the woman does not agree, right? And this is somewhere that you built, right? So you're going to make the decision of what happens there. And that's going to be a time that you make a decision that you should not be making. That you should not be making. And in all honesty, it's not your decision.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
this is the idea and dream that you're trying to build, right? So if these two people simply cannot come together and have to go, you know where I got that from? Survivor and Challenge. Right? Because these people, right? These people are given the power, right? And and they're friends with all these people. But they have to select two people to go in there for elimination.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't want to, right? They don't want to select people. So it gets to the point where there's two people selected, and this person has these friends, and this person has these friends, so they don't agree. Then they tell them, if you don't agree, you go in. You see what I mean? Because that's the only way you can solve that.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There was not a X red card committed here. If there's if you say, "Oh, he raped my wife," we're murdering him.
Yeah,
he murdered him.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. And it kind of comes right back to like, well, at some point the leader will have to follow because again,
that's what I'm saying.
Because for me, the issue at hand isn't about controlling the sex or this or that. It's about one's individual and how they feel with what you call the divine power to then carry out what they believe is what to do. You know what I'm saying? So like. Think about this person, that kind of thing happens, and he wants to go and he kills that guy. Well, it's like, could we have gotten out ahead of it? You know what I'm saying? Like things like that.
Okay, well,
that's all. That's the idea.
Right. Well, the first thing there is right. The first thing is like, I've never actually done these steps, but these are the steps I would do in a case like that. The first step I would say is like, well, what we're talking about here is extremely hard. And nobody else is trying to do it. Yeah,
exactly, man.
We have no other template to be able to do it, right? So that's first is just like give yourself credit that like this is a super hard thing to do, period, right? Number two is that like you have to admit that like you probably won't reach the utopia you dream up in your lifetime. You're trying to set up your children to be able to reach that utopia. That's really the truth, right?
Yeah.
So it's also like you're making that decision for your children to be like, listen, it's not like we're in the utopia and then I'm like crowding your spiritual energy or some shit like that. Like, no, I'm trying to be able to break apart from this. It's the same reason that like, I'll tell my mother she can't live with me, or my father, it's like, I know that that's not a smart decision for my future. So I don't do it. So that would be the same exact issue. If we were at this utopia world where everybody had money and there was unlimited resources, I would do anything I could for anyone at any time. But what we're trying to do is create something like that. And in the process of trying to create something like that, it's going to take a lot of sacrifices. And they're ones that hurt. They're ones that super hurt.
Exactly.
Right? So that's two steps right there. And then the third step I would say is, bro, even with all of this, you still will not be able to save every single issue, brother. There's still going to be issues. Somebody will still murder someone. Someone will still rape someone. Someone will still steal. These are things that are going to happen. You're doing something that's unprecedented. When you're talking, what we're talking about here is something that's unprecedented, bro. It's something that like, there's no book on it. Nobody's going to be able to help you. It's simply like you're going to come up with issues and you're going to try to fix them. And the only truth there to be submitted is that there's going to come a point where, let's say, me and you did buy this land. There's going to come a question or a problem that comes straight all the way down the line. No one can agree. And you're at that point where you have to make that decision. And now it is a biased decision. It is a selfish decision because you're making it based upon yourself. But that's what it came down to because they could not delegate the decisions. They could not figure it out themselves. So now it came down to the person who simply made the investment. And I don't want to be this person that makes this decision, but like this is the last line of defense. And I'm sorry because this is like everything we're trying to preach against is like me. This is what I say it goes and this is what it does. But this is what you've led it to because you guys couldn't figure it out together. We had to sit down separately. We tried to figure it out between you. We tried to split your things individually. We tried to set you up with that guy. We tried to get you back with your husband. We gave you all the solutions that we possibly could. And sometimes it's just not going to be an answer there, I think, You know, it's nothing but a grind, bro. Like this is nothing but I can't stress it enough, you know, because if any other way you try to preach it like oh, it's gonna be all sunshine and fucking dandies, it's not, bro. It's nothing but a grind. Like for me, I'm simply at the point of like, do you want children? Okay, you want children? You want children? You
Yeah.
don't know?
I'm not sure yet.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
really don't
yet.
know. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, if you want children, like I do, I want at least one child. You know, I would prefer a couple children. I'm interested in that aspect of life. You know, we can talk about that stuff, but I'm interested in that. So I'm not going to sit there and have my children just go live the same life that I'm bitching about this much. You
Yeah,
see what
yeah,
I mean? So
yeah.
I'm going to try to set them up to be able to live that utopia. I doubt with all the disadvantages and late blooming that I did that I'd be able to reach that point of like ultimate utopia or ever to see that world. But you could create a foundation where even if your child didn't reach it, their child would reach it, you know, because it's like investing, right? It's like if you don't start knocking out $10 a week,
Yeah.
and it never
Yeah.
becomes nothing. But if you knock out $10 a week, sooner or later it's 10,000. You know, you didn't even notice it. So these are things you got to do, bro. It's nothing fucking pretty. That's why nobody wants to talk about it. That's why nobody
That's what I'm
wants.
saying.
Yeah,
That's why we're
bro.
discussing. You know, I mean, that's the thing. You know, I mean, like,
but
you know, talking about this thing. You know, I mean, like
foundation.
yeah. I mean, but I mean, like, you know, you think about these things. I mean, like, you know, I'm sure, and I mean, yeah, of course, you'll get to a point where you know there's no clear cut answer. But again, you know, the discussion of you know the things at hand. I mean, you know, I think the issues present, you know, in human society. I mean, you know, I mean things of like if it's real, like adultery going back forever. I mean, like, is this? I'm trying to think of it as like, is it a problem humanity has continued to try and solve, but I mean, again, has gone unsuccessful. You know,
Well,
I mean, like, you know,
okay.
it's clearly, you know,
So
it's a very complex issue to where, like, well, now you get to the point of like, well, there's nothing we can do. As I'm saying, there's nothing that we can do, and I think that's something that, like, you know, it's very tough. I think for most people to accept. It's like there is no answer.
right. So let's just say let's just go back to before me and you started hanging out, right? What would you believe the chances are of somebody going out, buying land, and creating a new civilization?
Very, very little.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you believe the chances of someone flying? You know, actually levitating and flying, right? It's like the same odds. It's like the same exact odds, bro. You're like, what? It's just on both questions, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's like how I felt.
Yeah.
You're just like, what? But everybody wants to do these things, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like really the key to what they're doing is confusing you on what that end goal should be, right? So they know that you're going to have energy to want to be good. They know you're going to have energy to want to do better every single day in life. It's all about them figuring out how to control that. You know, that's really what it comes down to, bro. So that's where I get to that point of like they want you to feel like what I just said was as unprecedented as being able to fly. You see what I mean? Now, in my opinion, flying, you're never going to fly, brother.
No,
You're never going to fly.
no.
But what I said about building that land, yeah, give me 50-50 at this point, 50-50 at this point.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? This is something that could be attainable to people with money within days. It could be attained to poor people within years. But yet, it's as real as flying. You see what I mean? They've done this, bro. They've done this. The program, in my opinion, I hate even using the word program because it's so overplayed, but they've synced this into you to be like, okay, we have to control what your end goal is, right? So when I told you before we were tripping, right, and I said they can't buy me, Steve, right? In my opinion, I feel like that in myself because I know what my end goal is, and in my end goal, I don't become rich. I don't make no money. I lose money. You know what I mean? I sacrifice everything to be able to live a harder life and have less money. You see what I mean? So I cannot be bought. If you gave me that money, I'd use it against you. The moment you gave it to me, I would go do what my final end goal is. So I feel like that's what gives me my freedom. Now, their objective is to control what your end goal is. Because long as I control that end goal, then I control what you're working towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said they're going to try to extend that as long as they can. So 18 years of schooling, another 4 years. Now you're 22, right? A lot of people die the next 22.
Yeah.
So they're trying to extend to that point that you can reach that point of financial freedom. So now you're 22, you get out, you got 100K in student loans. Some people never pay the student loans off. 50 years old, still paying them. You know what I mean? Trying to extend this, pay a 30-year mortgage, get a 15-year car plan. You know what I mean? They're trying to extend all of these things out as long as they can. It's because your end goal, right? Even good or bad, your end goal is to get enough money to not have to worry about this shit no more, right? That fuck you money. That's your end goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's your end goal. So now you're trying to play my system to reach your end goal. I have to manipulate you. I have to extend everything out in long ass loans. So you never really own anything. And by the time you reach that, if you ever do, your body's so old and brittle you couldn't do nothing about it. You'll be dead within 10 years. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what my belief is.
Yeah.
So that's what I say when I mean I can't be bought. Because my end goal doesn't involve being a CEO, doesn't involve owning a Lamborghini, owning a business, nothing. It's simply trying to get a second person, to start farming some crops. Really, that's really where it starts, I guess. You know what I mean? There's nothing they can do to me to ever make me buy into that, bro. Like, I just know it, man. Like, they better never give me money. I think they better go on DraftKings and the lottery and alter my tickets. That's how I feel. Because that's what the moment they did that, bro, I'm trying to be quiet. I'm trying to get my group that I trust together. You know what I mean? We're getting some weapons. I'm going berserk, bro. Like, I'm going like, okay, now's my chance. Like, I'm gonna really fuck y'all with this shit. That's why I was talking to you before, like, these billionaires weird me out. Because I don't feel like you're a good person. Because if the day that I had that money, I don't care if you tax me 50% and I had 100 billion. Bro, I'm taking that 100 billion tomorrow and changing shit, bro. Like,
well, I mean,
I'm talking about buying that land, buying that city, you know what I mean? Recreating shit. So the fact that they don't want to do that, Steve, why?
So
that's what I want to know.
Well, that's the thing, because for me, like, to be that much of a billionaire, you have to be so far gone down the egotistical hole that you're not even worried. You're worried about what you want to be known for, which is I'm Elon Musk. I want to send people to Mars. Either that or I'm Elon Musk and I want to own Mars. Because I don't know which one's truer. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Bezos. Why? Really? I just want to turn my money to more money. Ultimately, what else is that? And then he started doing Blue Origin and shit and other shit like that. So he started to get weird too. He probably saw Elon was like, bro, you're onto some shit. I could make infinite money here, but Mars, I could own my own planet maybe. Or some dumb shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
like,
I was just watching a football player the other day, right? And he's like talking and like, I forget who the fuck it was, bro. It was like this famous ass guy, dude. And like you would think like, oh, if I met this guy, that'd be so cool. Bro, this guy seemed like the most boring motherfucker ever. Now he's a fucking legend at football. You see what I mean? But if you hung out with him, he might not be that cool, bro. Might not be that fucking cool.
Yeah, sports idols have always been like, it's like
that's why everybody puts so much faith in like Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, because you like Keanu Reeves.
Look, an authentic person.
You're like, look,
an authentic person.
Maybe, like there's like a real person that can make that dumb or smart, can make it that far. Yeah.
And that's where, like, it's like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, is there things that they cannot predict? Could they have never predicted Joe Rogan's rise? And for him to gain so much influence with his information as reach. Like, and then hold up. Then they're like, okay, well, how do we do this? Well, now let's own him. Well, let's sign to Spotify. Well, he's signed to exclusively to Spotify company. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even
a company who can control his
on YouTube, which is Google. Probably one of the most corrupt companies in the world.
But I mean like,
it never existed.
But
think about that.
No one's like he didn't sign to YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but just think about that for a second. Even people YouTube, bro. Nobody is getting famous outside of the circle of the most corrupted companies in the world.
But isn't that's tough though? Once you sign on to like he never signed like YouTube exclusive. That's like a different thing. You know what I'm saying? He's putting his content out there. Sure, they could have probably taken it down, whatever. But the moment you sign, you're now signed by somebody. He could say whatever he wants. Like, oh, well, they don't control this or that.
But YouTube, they control his monetization.
They did, which is one aspect.
So
But I
they
mean,
can milk
like,
his money.
and I'm sure they've taken some videos down, but
They could
you know,
terminate
he's
videos
able,
down,
but
right?
he's able to be able to self-sustain himself and still be able to put out his content. Again, now he's now signed under somebody, you know, which is again different than I think being then putting your videos on a platform. You're putting your videos on YouTube, but YouTube's not paying you. I mean, yeah, your
Well-
ad revenue is paid by you, but YouTube's not here.
Okay.
I'm signing you to make your content now.
Right,
You
right.
know?
I guess my best example of that would be like say your boy, right, starts a corner gas station and he makes it. He gets rich, right? He gets rich. Well, he got rich off of oil, which probably was pumped by BP or Exxon or something.
Yeah.
But your
Well-
boy got rich out of the gutters with a corner gas station. You see what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying. Like maybe someone could break through, but you're still inside of like that circle of corruption one way or
That's
another.
what I'm saying. Once he kind of like garnered that next level influence, they were like, well, now we're going to absorb him, you know, into us. You know what I'm saying? Like now, once you reach that
I mean, but I
pinnacle,
think he already was.
that didn't, you know, I mean,
In my opinion, bro, I'm to me, I'm going like I said, bro. I go steps. I think the corruption goes a couple steps farther. So like to me, that's how my mind works, bro. And it sucks, Steve. It sucks, bro. It drains you, bro. But my mind works like they gave you YouTube on purpose. They want you to put that on there. They're trying to filter it. They know that you're going to do these things. They know these things were coming. So they control, like, bro, like, where did that YouTube come from? Where did YouTube come from, bro? Where does this stuff come from? Like I know that you could explain it, but just think about it for a second. Like, listen,
look,
they know you're
it's
going
just-
to do it, Steve.
okay,
They
okay,
know you're going to film
okay.
yourself, bro.
like
They
it's just,
know you're going to
but
film
look,
yourself.
but look, man, like it's like, so
So listen. So they cannot stop the internet, right?
yeah,
Like they can't be on everybody's computer, right?
yeah,
And they can't sit here and watch everybody's camera. They know you're going to film yourself, right? And on that video, you're going to say things, right? You're going to say whatever you want to say. And there's no way that Soros or nobody can control what me and you want to record right now and say. Body, right? So they have to control where you put it. You see what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, bro. You know, so like when I look at like, you know, early internet, and we're talking about like, you know, internet to where like at one point, you know, less than 50% of America had access to internet. At one point, less than, you know, 20% of the population had access to internet. You know, I mean, at one point, was internet a new frontier? And you know, it's something that they just weren't. Because I mean, now we're in an age. Because back in 2008, you know, even back in 2004, you know, even when YouTube was created, you know, you were still below 35% of the world having access to even internet.
Right.
Now you're in an age of where 65% of the world has internet, to where like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm with you.
at one point,
Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like how
maybe that was supposed to be a
because
breakaway.
like you know,
But
because what you're saying is like, you know, they're out in front of almost everything.
well, not that they
Are-
do everything,
but like-
right? But
but-
that they can control it even after it's created.
That's
You see what I
exactly.
mean? So
But
I'm saying, like, no matter what.
but listen, at one point, they're in a reactive measure, right?
Well, let's
You know what I'm saying? Like,
listen. Well, let's just connect dots, brother. My favorite part. So just go off of like what the internet was, and then when the internet really became something, bro.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying,
Right?
bro.
But listen, what was that? That was Microsoft. That's Windows, bro. Right?
Not yet. No. Not Microsoft is
Bro,
is the
Microsoft is
no
what
no no
gave
no
you
no
the
no
chance
no
to
no
search,
no,
right?
well, no. The internet is something separate. Microsoft is an operating system for a computer, which gives you the interface that what we have in front of us. The internet, the ability to send information through, you know, I believe at the beginning was over the phone lines, like we used to do, dial up and shit. Now it's something separate. Microsoft is but the operating system of like Mac OS. That's an operating system of how computers
Okay.
show you
From
the
my
zeros and
understanding,
ones.
Microsoft is
Zeros and
what
ones.
gave you
They're not the internet.
the search
No.
bar to type a email, a www.
There
was none of that. Before. So you're talking about calling on a phone. What were you calling on a phone?
I'm not saying you were calling on a phone.
No, I'm saying you said you
the
were saying on a phone.
information was sent over phone. That's what the internet is. You have Internet
I know, right,
Explorer
you have like
and
a-
the operating
right.
system, but what the internet is underneath that is just like connection of data being able to send back and forth.
Okay.
The operating system. So I mean,
got you.
like,
So
yeah,
maybe-
in a sense, I guess they're the face of the internet,
So
and
I'll
your
say-
access is through Microsoft.
So I'll just
you know,
say I don't know enough to say what the specifics were of it, but the jump it took was when Microsoft came, right?
it's so to me, like, I guess the best way to explain it is like the internet is almost like the blockchain, and the different coins are like the different kind of like websites or whatever you kind of like made on it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well,
Like the
from
internet's
all
kind of
my
like
research and my
like they've
knowledge,
tried
the internet was barbaric before there was a Microsoft. Bro.
extremely.
Right? Because Microsoft is the one that gives you the interface to do the searching.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
There was like no like worldwide search web
Right.
without
And that's what
before that
Microsoft gave
operating
you.
system, without
That's what
operating
Microsoft
system.
gave you.
But once that took off, and anyone's ability to program a website on the internet, like the internet underlying
Right,
function of the internet
But
is separate from
is what
Microsoft.
allowed you to get to a web browser, right?
Separate. Well, an operating system, they created the Internet Explorer to better. It was one of the more optimized ways to search the internet.
Okay.
But there were different ways to do it.
Who's
You know
the first person to innovate the internet?
Innovate the internet?
Yeah.
Not too sure. The first
Who would
person.
you say it is?
Like I said, I know. I don't think I would say Bill Gates, because like I said, because like the internet, with its with its ability to connect, anyone could create that website. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like Google. You know, Google's not the internet. Google helps you search the internet. You know what I'm saying? Not sure, man. Not sure.
Right. So you would say it is.
You just want me to say Bill Gates.
That's what I mean. That's where we're at, though,
That's
right?
the-
I mean,
yeah.
why is that crazy, Steve? Because look, we just try to connect dots, and there's no dots to connect past Bill Gates. So why is it crazy to settle on Bill Gates? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Is like that's what we know. So why is it crazy, bro? That's what I would say. That's what I think a lot of people would say. It's like Bill Gates is the one that innovated the internet.
The father of the internet. So, well, I mean, we can read about this guy later. I mean, I'm not gonna do that.
Is that a different guy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's some guy, Vint Cerf.
Okay. Well, like I said, listen, I'm not trying to prove
Happy
if I'm
Protocols
right
ended
here.
in 1997.
All I'm saying is like you know it as the same way I know it, which is most way that people we know it. It's like Bill Gates innovated the internet to take that next step.
That's what I'm saying. You know, like I said, I know he created the operating system.
The
like I
first
said,
of which the first
which
operating system
I believe
ever.
Apple was. Apple with the creation of the Mac OS operating system.
I don't know if that's true, bro.
I was saying because the actual interface of home PCs, because PC stands for personal computer.
Okay, well listen. Here's my favorite part. I don't even know why I want this debate this deep into that debate, because my favorite thing about it is I could say name the top 5. Name the top 5 of them, Steve. Who is it? Who is it? Is it Bill Gates then? Bill Gates is 1, right? Apple is 1, right? So there's 2 for you, right? Now name the biggest companies today.
It'd be the telecommunication companies. Yeah.
All the ones that innovated on the internet are your biggest companies today.
Yeah, but my whole point is how far can you control that of which the internet? Like you said, before all that, even before the 2006, 2000s,
so what I'm
crazy internet, people doing whatever they want on the internet.
But see,
because it wasn't regulated by any governing body,
saying, Like what you're asking me to do would be
any governing body.
Listen, what we're talking about right here, if I go any farther than what I just gave you, I'd be lying to you, or I'd be lying to myself. So what I'm doing right here, right, is trying to go back as far as me and you can go. Because I don't know who that guy was that you just brought up. But like most people our age go back as far as we can, and we're like, yeah, we know Bill Gates invited Microsoft. We know that there was Steve Jobs with Macintosh and Mac, and the Apple came. We know that, like we pretty much universally accept that they're like, that's when the internet took off. However you want to put it, that's when the internet took off. Those same people who did that 35 years and 40 years ago now are the same people that are the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah, so I understand that.
So our whole argument was like, could they control that? Well, all I'm trying to say is like, even if they invented or like it controlled it or it was a new pioneer, what I'm saying is like they're still come in there and take it over, because those companies that did that came in there, they're the ones that are still the biggest.
Let me tell you, man.
And look at them; they're the biggest ones.
It is way more control than what it was, man. You know what I'm saying? And like, I told you about some of the insane things I found early on, bro. Just crazy. And I'll tell you what,
some people
found things recently that would fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy how easy it is to do, bro. It's crazy how easy it is to do. You know, I'll tell you how crazy it is to do, bro. It's just absolutely insane, bro. I gotta pee like a motherfucker though.
It's been a hell of a cast. It's been a hell of a cast. How we work well. I don't know how long that was.
That clock's wrong. It's
Okay.
10:11. We've been up
Okay,
for
we're
2 hours.
down here. We love you all.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you for checking us out, man. It feels great to be back. Just talking. Just
Yeah,
talking
bro.
about some
That's a great
shit.
conversation.
Just talking
Great
about some shit,
conversation.
bro. You know, we're
With some
wrapping
wine.
out.
With some
We're
wine.
full circle, full wine. Love you all. Take it easy. Have a great weekend. See
Have a
you
good
soon,
night.
baby.
Tune in next time. Thank you so much.
That's fun.
Hold up.
You always gotta get the last
How's that
words like
ending?
Joe Rogan does. Bro.
How's
Like,
that? And we
the
just keep
last
talking.
words.
Yeah.
I feel like that was great.
Someone tired killer.